Hey, welcome. This is The Process. My name is Dr. John Bush. Week 9, Sunday and Monday game scripts, uncertainty rankings, defense against the position, Vegas insights. It's never one number, one piece of data that gives us the keys to victory. We have to synthesize, put it together, top down, bottom up, and you're getting to see aspects that I use for setting lineups and thinking about if I do some daily fantasy, that kind of thing. I don't do a lot. I'm not an expert, so there are so-called experts out there. I'm sure they're much better than I at daily fantasy. But anyway, I continue on my journey here. Uh, Again, blocks of information. I'm going to give you the blocks of information that I have found are very helpful to me and how I synthesize and go through the process. And again, last minute injuries there's always shifting. You always have to be flexible. You should always pay attention to injury reports, any kind of information coming out. You've got to consider things. Where I like to start and frame the games is from a Vegas point of view. Uh, there's some, needless to say, very sharp folks that make a lot of money in setting these lines, these casinos. They're still there. If they were bad, they wouldn't be there. So uh, they have the over under stat, which pretty much gives us a pretty good insight into the opinions of these folks out in Vegas. And I just put Vegas, i.e., the any betting shops and that kind of things. High scoring point games. You think there's a lot of fantasy goodness versus the extreme low scoring games, a lot of defense in those, and not as much good fantasy happening there. Overall, they can be certainly player specific things that you're doing in all games. Game spread also tells you a little bit about garbage time situations. Can that emerge? What do we think? Good day for the kickers. What about the defenses? Uh, Players going to get pulled in the fourth quarter. Very important for me to consider that as well, and what I might use. And again, this is all framing, okay, how I'm seeing things. Does that mean, I just use Vegas and that's it? No. Just a beginning to kind of get, it's like you taste a little bit, yeah, a little kind of a nice broth here. But I'm going to get deeper. I got to dig into that soup a little more, fish in that gumbo, see what you come up with, pull out that alligator paw or whatever you got in your Louisiana gumbo. So I use Vegas. I then generate my own defense against the position. I call them DAPs. Uh, so I'm looking for spot scenarios, hot spots, good spots, bad spots, where certain positions have an advantage or not. It's good for me to know that. It doesn't mean that, you know, uh, let's call them in quotes, whatever this really means, studs, whatever that means. Uh, there's we have a whole problem in fantasy about definitions and concepts, but anyway, so-called studs in these spot situations, right? So I look at the team, look at their opponent, and their opponent. I think about how tough or easy the defense is. This is a home and away game. If you look at my snaps report that I put out, there's some teams that are really skewed in home and away splits. Important to know that. Detroit and Indianapolis love their home games. Okay. Denver, Jacksonville kind of thing love their away games. So it's good to kind of stir that in the gumbo as well. See what you got. So we have an overall flavor of the opponent's defense, the DAP. Okay, is it easy to tough? And there's some gradations in between there. Fairly easy, fairly tough, very tough. Okay, uh, there are numbers behind that. I just not sure that's appropriate. I don't like to have to. Well, what's 6 versus 7? What does that mean? To me, I try to at least look at distributions and uh, just put it, easy and tough. I mean, those are easily understandable. So I try to do that for you. I divide up the opponents, the RB. So I'm thinking more the rushing, could be pass catching running backs, but RB, the rushing. Then I group the quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, kind of the passing mix. Yeah, we don't catch all the rushing quarterbacks issues in that DAP, but at least it's beginning on the passing. Then the kickers and the defenses. A lot of people like myself stream defenses, stream tight ends, stream quarterbacks. This can help you out, right? May not put you on the best one of the week or the worst, but it certainly gives you some insight into what may be some troublesome streaming options versus some that are probably a little better. Okay. Notice I'm not exact, right? Okay. There's nothing exact. If it was exact, I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be living in a mansion in Vegas if I could exactly predict the future, right? I'd have that Powerball. I just do it once. It's all I needed, right? $1 billion power. That's all I needed. Wouldn't have to do it every week. Just one time. Sit back, sip that martini, and chill. Rankings table. I then get a little deeper. We're looking at the team versus team. We got the scenario high, low scoring, any kind of spot situations, easy or hard. And then the players, the team on the teams of position, my rankings, FSPR, Fantasy Sports Professor rankings, and uncertainty levels. Just by the word, high is not as good as low, average is average. My rankings go from 0 to 100, a little bit higher. Okay. So 100 is good, 0 is not good. So I kind of project that. And I put the player rankings into 3 buckets: high, average, or low uncertainty situations, right? High uncertainty players have a big range of outcomes. Could do better than I'm thinking, but could do way worse. I just like to know that. I like to kind of know, is the ice a little cracking here? What is this as I step out of here? Versus low uncertainty. That ice is pretty thick here. I think I can have a little bit more safe situation. So I think low uncertainty situations safe, higher uncertainty less safe. Okay. So I think you need to frame it, the ranking and kind of where they sit in those uncertainty ranges there. And I don't know anybody else who does that I know of. Maybe they're out there. I don't know. So hopefully the few of you that find me, thank you for hanging out with me. Uh, we can look at that. And by the way, scienceoffantasyfootball.com has the complete article with all the figures, all the data. I'm not going to waste your precious time going. I try to hit about 20 minutes, and that may be too much for you for me to run my mouth. But anyway, let me continue on. The next thing I look at for the week is power rankings. Everybody has a power rank. What's power rankings mean? To me, I look at the collection of players that I've ranked that week, and teams that have a lot of high ranked players are going to be higher in overall power rankings. Teams that have a lot of low ranked players are going to tend to be low power ranked teams. So I kind of sort it that way. And this week we're talking, probably not surprising, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and they played last night. Miami, Buffalo, Minnesota, KC, and the lower teams, Chicago, Washington, Carolina, Tennessee, the Jets, and Houston. So some people say, well, everybody knows that. Well, you know, okay. But anyway, I like to frame it out. Again, this is my process. And so in green are the good teams, red are the troublesome teams. And I give you the bar graph of the ranks that I see for week 9. Just a quick look see. So we got high shootout games, highly ranked players, low uncertainty, and good ranked teams that have good power rankings. That all starts sounding extra good, right? Wow, that really starting to taste good there. I also like to know where the uncertainty sits. I look at all the players on the team. A lot of uncertain players versus a lot of players that are not so uncertain, or low uncertain. I like to know that as well. Kind of where's the ice cracking. So this week, the high uncertainty teams, and you probably won't be surprised at this, Tampa Bay sitting out by itself. This whole year has been uncertainty there, what you're getting. I got a sandwich here. You want it? What is it? Well, take a bite and see what you get. That's kind of Tampa Bay. Take a bite and see what we'll get this week. Doesn't mean I won't play them, okay? But it's kind of like box of chocolates, right? You never quite know what you get in the chocolate. Is it a cockroach cluster or is it a truffle? Okay, don't know. Carolina, Houston, Green Bay, Rams, Minnesota, Philadelphia are all pretty high. Miami as well. So that's kind of the higher uncertainty teams. The low uncertainty doesn't mean they're great teams. New England's an example, but I think we kind of know what we're getting there. KC, we kind of know there. Cincinnati. Indianapolis might be surprising, but I think I know what we get in there. Buffalo, probably not surprising. Seattle, New Orleans, that kind of thing. So you can look at the plots and kind of see the uncertainty levels. Look at Tampa Bay, just way out there. Just be extra cautious this week. Doesn't mean I'm not playing Mike Evans or Brady or whatever, just Fournette. I'm just if I got some better choices, I'm gonna look hard at those better choices. Doesn't mean I'm not circling back to Tampa Bay. Okay, so I never am. I'm rarely is it all or none, yes or no. If you think that way, you're probably wrong. Okay, because it's never yes or no. It's range of possibilities, range of outcomes. Okay, 13 minutes in. Here we go. These are the high point scoring games by Vegas's standards. 47.5, so about 48 or better. Not really extreme high. We've had, 54? So, but we should enjoy these games. They should have more shootout scenarios here. And of these, looks like the Bills looks a lot like Philadelphia in the Houston last night. Okay, almost the same spread there. If you'll look back at my Thursday. So the Bills, the concept, they're going to just blow Jets out of the water. Bills, are they going to start pulling people if they get too far? The Houston, thank goodness if you were a Goddard owner, Houston kept it close, surprised a lot of people. I just think it took a while for Philadelphia to kind of figure out what Houston was dealing to them. And I think they weren't in a hurry, right? They're not like, oh, I've got to hit an over under. They want to win. That's it. They could care less if they win by a point or whatever. Okay. They don't care about your Vegas bets or your over unders or your fantasy team. So the Bills 37, Jets 11. The rest of these high scoring games should be ping pong match, right? It's back and forth. Last team gets the ball can win. And that's usually good news for fantasy. So high scoring, low spread, all seems to be, I want to be on some of these games here and the players there. So we're talking 5 games here. And let's take a look here. These are my DAP things here, my DAP stats, and I have the games: Atlanta Chargers, Detroit Green Bay, Buffalo the Jets, Arizona Seattle, Baltimore New Orleans. So look at the first one, Atlanta and the Chargers. Look at the overall defenses of their opponents, easy and extra easy. So I'd almost say, well, play them if you got them. I do see that Pitts has a little bit of toughness. Mariota has a little bit, but I do like the easy wide receiver scenarios there and the rushing. So these should be a balanced kind of game. I wouldn't use any of these defenses, but it seems to be logical here. Mariota and Pitts are going to have to work a little bit. Hope he gets another touchdown, but we get what we get with Pitts. Hopefully a lot of catches anyway. Detroit is at home. Good for them. That's the only thing they got going for them, and their kicker. So when there's a kicker, it's high, and everybody else is tough, probably means they'll move it close enough to get a field goal out of it. So kicker may be a good shot here. Is that Prater? I don't know who's on Detroit. You don't want to play the Detroit. The Green Bay should have an easy time here. Play them if you got them. I'm hoping Rodgers continues. Hope Lazard is back. Aaron Jones. So it looks like maybe even Tanyan gets a few catches. So it all looks good there. Buffalo and the Jets. Buffalo gets the Jets, which are kind of tough, except Buffalo Singletary gets an opportunity and could really, and of course, Allen's a rushing quarterback, so that may be, he may get a lot more yardage. The wide Diggs and whatnot, Knox, they're going to have to earn their keep a little bit. Kicker looks good. Defense, Buffalo looks good. So notice some hot spots here. Notice some good spots. The Jets are facing a tough. Vegas says it's tough. So the only thing here is, does Buffalo need to get 37 points? We're hoping so, right? If you're playing lots of Buffalo players, the more of that 37 to get, more likely some of the deeper wide receivers you could collect more, and maybe even one of the deeper running backs besides Singletary. I don't know if Hines plays this week, but he might have some packages. He might vulture a touchdown from Singletary. That'd suck, but that happens. Arizona and Seattle, they got easy defenses, but what's really interesting is, look, both of those have defenses are tough on the wide receivers. I know Hopkins can play through, and Lockett and Metcalf can do it, but you just wonder if they're going to get multiple touchdowns this week. Looks like the tight ends, Zach Ertz and Disley and Fant, could surprise us this week for playing some stacks. Maybe that's the tight end stack this week with the quarterbacks here kind of in this game. Looks like the rushing, Connor, if he's back, or Eno Benjamin. Walker with Seattle should run roughshod over to Arizona and collect lots of points that way. So it looks like it's going to be a balanced kind of game, and that can lead to lots of points. Just make that note about those wide receivers. That's a little funky there for me. Just be aware. Don't get all hog crazy over things. Baltimore, New Orleans. Baltimore gets a little tough D from New Orleans, except look at Baltimore. Extra tough on the tight end. So Andrews is in a tough spot, and he's injured, might be likely. Just prepare for Andrews not to be there. So what I've done is either got likely, or I've gotten Juan, what's his, Johnson or whoever, or Taysom Hill for the tight end for New Orleans. It's kind of that emergency. If Andrews is not active, I'll flip those in. I've got a plan, and I like that the tight end from New Orleans. That's a nice little spot there. Wide receivers, Chris Olaf, is it Olaf? Whatever it is, should have a nice game. And I like Rashid. Okay, I've been picking him up. I think he could be that number 2 for the rest of the season. And I've got him for a dollar holler kind of play in my deep benches. And Dalton. Dalton's going to be shooting them out. He may get some interceptions, but I mean, that's just his game. I'm a throw and throw and throw. Kamara should have an okay, but it's a little tough. Gus Edwards or Drake going to have to earn their biscuits as well. So I don't know if we don't get a lot more passing than people suspect here. I do worry about that Andrews and that extra tough New Orleans on the tight end. That worries me as well. So that's a little extra check mark about Andrews this week. That is concerning. Okay. So I urge you to look deeper here, and I'll show you an example of, here's Atlanta. Anything ranked 75 or above is a type 1 that week. Anything above 50 is kind of a type 2. So Tyler Algier is close to a low type RB2 this week. Depends on what else you got. Huntley's a definite 3. Pitts is a 1, but look at that high uncertainty, because we just don't know what we're going to get out of him. Mariota is a low, it's a QB2, so that doesn't fit. I would be nice if I ranked him higher this week, but I just can't put Pitts in anything other than a high uncertainty here. London, high uncertainty. He's a WR3 this week. He may do well, but just painting the picture here. That's what I'm seeing. Chargers. Not sure who's kicking. I don't know why I've rated both. I guess there may be injuries. I don't know. Anyway, not playing either one. Herbert is a QB1, but average uncertainty. So there's some flaws there. Eckler should run all day long and catch passes. Should be a nice game. 114. Low uncertainty. Play him all day long. Everybody's going to have that stack in daily fantasy, but there it is. Everett could benefit this week. I got him in a 97 this week. Don't have him a lot of times this high up. Not bad, actually. So, especially if Andrews is not playing, Everett could really be in the top ranks this week. Could be. I'm going to play him if I've got him. Palmer, everybody went rush to get him. He's a 2, probably a high 3, folks. I don't think he's a 1 this week. Look, if I got him, I'm hoping. I don't think Keenan Allen's playing here. I did rank him, but I don't think that's real. So I think Carter is a 4 or 5, but he could surprise as well. He's not, look at it, it's only about, what is that? 17, about 20, yeah, so yeah, Carter may be a roll of the dice in a daily fantasy. I mean, if you got a deep flex, like 4 or 5 flex spots, I guess he's in play. Not overly enamored with the passing here. It looks to me it's Eckler and potentially Everett Show this week from the Chargers. Okay, that's an example. Went too long, 25 minutes, sorry. Anyway, you can look at all the other situations. So again, high scoring. I just talked about Atlanta and the Chargers, and I said easy peasy. Okay, and it just sets the scenario for you. So I would high scoring, then I would look at my DAPs, then I would go and look at my rankings and toggle back and forth there. Okay, so good luck this week. ScienceOfFantasyFootball.com has all these figures that you can't see in the video, but I wanted to kind of warm it up and let you see how I do things. You can hear me talking about the high scoring kind of games, but there's lots of stuff. Okay, man, good luck.